A billionaire woman visits her son's grave on a quiet, rainy November day and finds a black waitress crying there with a little boy. The moment stopped her in her tracks. The rain gently fell as Victoria Blackwood walked through the cemetery. Everything felt cold and quiet. But when she reached her son Adrien's marble grave, she saw something unexpected. A young black woman in a waitress uniform holding a child. Both were crying deeply and painfully. Victoria froze. Her gloved hands gripped the bouquet of white lilies she brought. At 55 years old, and as the head of the massive Blackwood Industries empire, she had never seen either of them before. But something about the woman's expression and the little boy's face made her heart skip a beat. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "This is a private moment. You shouldn't be here." The woman looked up, her eyes red and puffy from crying. "I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was visiting today." Her voice was shaky but respectful. "Who are you?" Victoria asked, her tone turning cold and demanding. "And why are you crying at my son's grave?" The little boy, maybe 4 years old, looked up at Victoria. His eyes were a bright green, eyes Victoria recognized. The exact same eyes as her son Adrien. "My name is Jasmine Washington," the woman replied, wiping her tears. "And this is Tyler. I work at Bell's Diner. We come here every month because—" She looked at the boy and hesitated. "Because Adrien meant a lot to us." Victoria's world started spinning. Adrien had died 3 years ago. In a car crash at 28, she had spent months investigating his life after his death, desperate to find meaning in her loss. She never found any signs of a serious relationship, let alone a child. "What do you mean he was important to you?" Victoria asked, her voice low and sharp as the rain got heavier. Jasmine looked her straight in the eye. "Because Tyler is his son, and I promised Adrien I would raise him, no matter what." The flowers slipped from Victoria's hands and scattered on the grave. 3 years. For 3 years she had believed her family's bloodline had ended. Now, standing in front of her, was her grandson, a black child being raised by a waitress. It was a reality she had never imagined. But Jasmine's eyes held something more of fear, a caution as if she was keeping bigger secrets. What Victoria didn't know was this was only the beginning. A web of lies and betrayals, some from people very close to her, was waiting to unravel. And Jasmine, who looked vulnerable, carried a quiet strength that would soon shake everything Victoria thought she knew. 2 weeks after the cemetery visit, Victoria had turned her personal library into a private investigation zone. The long mahogany table was covered in files and photos. Every page revealed details about Jasmine Washington. That made Victoria more suspicious. "Single, no known family," she muttered. "Working 60 hours a week at 2 jobs just to survive. Lives in a 1-bedroom apartment in a poor neighborhood. No education beyond high school." Her assistant, David Chen, stood quietly beside her. He had seen Victoria take down billion-dollar businesses without showing this much emotion. "What about the boy's mother?" Victoria asked, staring at a photo of Tyler playing at a public park. David opened another folder. "That's where it gets strange. There's no birth certificate, no hospital records, no paperwork at all. It's like his biological mother doesn't exist." Victoria tapped her fingers on the tabla. Signer's staff knew meant something serious. When Adrien died 3 years ago, she had searched every detail of his life for answers. She never found any clues about a relationship or a child. "Set up a meeting with this," Jasmine, she said, almost spitting out the name. In my office. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. The next day, Jasmine arrived at the towering headquarters of Blackwood Industries. She wore her best, her only suit, bought from a thrift store. The 60-story glass building reflected her own nervous face back at her. It was intimidating, but she walked in anyway. Victoria greeted her on the top floor. In a massive office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Everything in the room screamed power. Sit, Victoria said coldly, pointing to a chair that was noticeably lower than hers. I'd rather stand, Jasmine replied calmly. Fine. Victoria opened a folder. I've looked into you, Miss Washington. 2 jobs, no savings. Raising a child in difficult conditions. Tyler is loved and well cared for, Jasmine said. Her voice was steady. I'm sure you do your best, Victoria replied, a tight smile on her lips. But my grandson deserves more than your best. He deserves the best money can offer. What exactly are you suggesting? Victoria slid a check across the table. $200,000 to start. Tyler comes to live with me. He gets the education, future, and opportunities Adrienne would have wanted for him. You can visit on weekends. Jasmine stared at the check like it was poison. You're trying to buy my child. He's not your child, Victoria snapped. He's my grandson, my blood. And frankly, a waitress in her 20s can't offer what a Blackwood can. Jasmine let out a short laugh, but it wasn't amused. Victoria May, I call you that. You want to talk about family. Tyler calls me Mum. I've stayed up with him when he's sick. I've read him stories at bedtime. I teach him math at the kitchen table. That's what family is. Victoria stood up, tall and imposing. Noble words. But let's face reality. You struggle just to survive. He needs private schools, world travel, a future you can't give him. And he needs love that doesn't come with conditions. Jasmine said, meeting her gaze. Something your own son clearly didn't get. The room fell silent. A silence so heavy, it felt like the world had stopped. Victoria's face hardened. Jasmine's words had cut deep, as if someone had slapped her in public. How dare you? Victoria began, but Jasmine didn't flinch. Her voice was steady and sharp. Adrienne told me about you, about all the football games you missed, the birthdays where you sent gifts instead of showing up. He said you were always too busy, always too important. You don't want Tyler because you love him. You want him to ease your guilt. Victoria's hands balled into fists. You don't know me. No, Jasmine replied, but I knew your son. And I know why he never told you about Tyler. Jasmine reached down, picked up the $200,000 check Victoria had offered, and tore it clean in half. The pieces drifted to the floor like wilted flower petals. Tyler isn't for sale. Victoria's voice dropped to a threatening whisper. Then we'll do this the hard way. I have lawyers, investigators, powerful friends in every level of government. I can prove that a single mother with no degree and no money isn't fit to raise a child. But instead of being afraid, Jasmine smiled calmly, confidently, and that smile made Victoria pause. Victoria, Jasmine said softly, you think I'm just a poor waitress you can scare? But there's a lot you don't know. About me, about Tyler, and about Adrienne. And when you find out... She stepped toward the door, her eyes shining with something fierce and fearless. Let's just say your investigators aren't as good as you think. She opened the door, then looked back one last time. And And the next time you want to talk about Tyler, it'll be on my terms, not yours." Jasmine walked out, leaving Victoria standing alone in her massive office staring at the torn check on the floor. For the first time in her life, someone had walked away from her power, completely unfazed. And worse, Victoria couldn't understand how a woman with nothing had such unshakable confidence. It was as if Jasmine knew something she didn't, something big, and suddenly, for the first time in decades, Victoria Blackwood felt vulnerable, watched, judged, and for once, her money and reputation weren't enough. 3 days after their meeting, Victoria received a call that left her stunned. It was her top lawyer, Richard Thornton, from Thornton and Associates, the man who had handled every major legal battle for her over the past 20 years. But today, he sounded tense. "Victoria, we need to talk about the custody case," he said. "I got a call this morning from Miss Washington's legal team." Victoria let out a sarcastic laugh. "What legal team? She's a waitress. What's she going to do, hire a public defender with tip money?" Richard hesitated. "She's being represented pro bono by Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce." Victoria froze. Her coffee nearly spilled. Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce wasn't just any law firm. They were one of the top 3 in the country, famous for winning major civil rights cases and never backing down from powerful enemies. "That's impossible," Victoria snapped. "Why would they care about some waitress?" "I don't know," Richard admitted, "but it gets worse. They've already filed a petition to block any custody action. If you try to take the child, they'll accuse you of discrimination based on class and race and call it legal kidnapping." Victoria slammed the phone down, cracking the receiver. Jasmine had just played her first move, and it was stronger than Victoria ever imagined. Meanwhile, across town in Jasmine's small apartment, a very different kind of meeting was happening. The living room was packed with people Victoria would never have expected. There was Dr. Michael Chen, a respected law professor at Columbia, investigative journalist Amanda Torres, famous for exposing corporate corruption, and in the center of it all, a graceful older woman in her 50s, Helen Washington, Jasmine's aunt. Jasmine welcomed her with a hug. "Thank you for coming, Aunt Helen. I know the flight from Chicago was long." Helen smiled, her sharp eyes full of warmth. "When you called and said it was time, I dropped everything. We've been preparing for this day for 3 years." Tyler played on the floor, unaware of the storm building around him. Dr. Chen laid out folders filled with documents and photos. "Jasmine, are you sure? Once this starts, there's no going back. Victoria Blackwood is powerful and dangerous." Jasmine nodded, calm and steady. "I've been preparing for this since the day Adrian died. Every night class, every book, every connection. I did it all to protect Tyler Rann, to honor Adrienne." Amanda Torres looked up from her laptop. "Your evidence is solid. 3 years worth of documentation on Blackwood. Industry shady business deals, bribes to officials, labor violations. This isn't just a custody battle. It's a corporate scandal waiting to explode." Helen walked to the window, gazing out thoughtfully. "Victoria thinks money makes her untouchable. She has no idea my niece has been watching her every move, tracking every shady contract and hidden deal. Aunt Helen was a business law professor for 30 years, Jasmine added. She taught me something. Victoria never understood knowledge is the only weapon they can't steal. Suddenly, Jasmine's phone rang. It was Victoria. Jasmine answered and put it on speaker so everyone could hear. "What kind of game are you playing?" Victoria snapped. "Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce. How does a waitress get lawyers like that?" Jasmine's voice was calm. "I told you before, Victoria, there are things you don't know about me." "I don't care what tricks you're using," Victoria growled. "Tyler is my grandson. I have unlimited resources." Jasmine smiled and looked around the room. "You keep talking about money like it's the only kind of power. But what if I told you the truth is more powerful?" Victoria scoffed. "Truth doesn't pay for high-end lawyers." "You're right," Jasmine agreed. "But the truth about your illegal contracts, tax fraud, and bribery, that kind of truth is worth everything. To the right people." There was a long pause on the other end. Victoria's voice, when it returned, had lost its edge. "You're bluffing." Amanda Torres stood up, took the phone from Jasmine, and said, "Hello. Ms. Blackwood. Amanda Torres from the Metropolitan newspaper. I'd like a statement before we publish our story." "Good afternoon, Miss Blackwood," Amanda said, her tone firm but professional. "I'm wrapping up an investigation into corporate corruption. Before publishing, I wanted to offer you the chance to comment on some serious allegations." Victoria didn't respond. She just ended the call. Helen smiled with pride. "Well done, Jasmine. You've learned something powerful. Confront head-on when you can. Outmaneuver." Dr. Chen closed his briefcase. "Our legal position is solid. There's precedent for courts rejecting custody changes based solely on economic status. It's considered discrimination," Amanda added. "And I've got 3 years' worth of documents, fraudulent contracts, shady shell companies, illegal payments, environmental violations. Enough to take down Blackwood Industries for good." Jasmine gently picked up Tyler, who was now smiling at the people around him completely, unaware of how much was at stake. "This isn't just about my son," she said. "It's about standing up to a system that thinks money can buy anything, even a child." Helen stepped beside her, placing a hand on Jasmine's shoulder. "Your mother would be proud. She always said education is the only inheritance they can't take from you." Jasmine nodded. "Aunt Helen raised me after my parents died. She taught me that where you come from doesn't matter as much as where you're going in sometimes. Protecting what you love means going to war." Just then, the phone rang again. This time, it was Victoria's lawyer. "Miss Washington," he began, sounding nervous. "My client would like to offer a settlement. $500,000 and supervised visitation rights." Jasmine looked at her team. Each of them silently shook their heads. "Mr. Thornton," she said firmly, "tell your client Tyler is not for sale. Not for any price. And tell her this she has 48 hours to drop every legal threat. Or else, on Monday morning, the Metropolitan Journal will publish everything, and the IRS will be receiving every document we have." Amanda smiled. "Are you ready for the storm, Jasmine? Once this hits the news, Victoria will do everything in her power to destroy you." Jasmine looked down at Tyler, now asleep in her arms. "I've been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Victoria thinks her money makes her untouchable, but she's never gone up against someone who had time to prepare." Dr. Chen stood, organizing his legal documents. "We'll file the petition tomorrow. The law is on our side." Helen kissed Jasmine's forehead. "They may have money, but we have the truth." That night, after putting Tyler to bed, Jasmine opened an old trunk in her room. Inside were the weapons she had spent 3 years building: diplomas from night law school, certificates from business and legal programs, letters of recommendation from powerful professors, and at the very bottom a photo of Jasmine, Adrienne, and a young woman with fair skin, Jessica Blackwood. A photo Victoria had never seen. A photo that told the real story of who Tyler's mother was and why Jasmine had prepared so carefully for this day. Victoria Blackwood was about to learn that underestimating someone is the most dangerous mistake you can make. That true revenge doesn't come from rage, but from patience, planning, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Monday morning, Victoria woke up to chaos. Her phone showed 37 missed calls. Her assistant, David, stood at her bedroom door, holding a tablet, his face pale with fear. "Victoria, you need to see this." The front page of the Metropolitan Journal filled the screen. Empire built on corruption. Decades of Blackwood Industries crimes revealed in leaked documents. Victoria's legs gave out. She sat down hard as she scrolled through pages of leaked files: fraudulent deals, bribery, tax evasion, and money laundering schemes. It was a complete expo. Every secret she had buried was now public. "How did they get all this?" she whispered. There were photos from secret meetings she thought were private, recordings she was sure had never been made. The phone rang. It was her lawyer, Richard. "Victoria," he said bluntly, "it's a disaster. The IRS has issued warrants. The FBI is on their way to your home, and the SEC has frozen trading of your company's stock." Panicking, Victoria grabbed her phone and called Jasmine. When Jasmine answered, her voice was calm. "Good morning, Victoria. I assume you've read the news." "You," Victoria hissed. "You did this. You've destroyed everything I built." Jasmine didn't raise her voice. "Victoria, I warned you. I told you there were things you hadn't discovered about me. I'll ruin you," Victoria shouted. "I'll use everything I have." "What resources?" Jasmine replied coolly. "Your bank accounts were frozen 15 minutes ago." Victoria rushed to her laptop. She typed in login after login. "Access denied. Access denied. Access denied." "This can't be happening," she whispered. Jasmine continued, "Amanda Torres doesn't work alone. Her team specializes in financial crimes. Every fake document you've signed in 20 years has been tracked." The television showed reporters swarming outside Blackwood Industries headquarters. Employees were being escorted out, carrying boxes. The empire was crumbling. Live on national news. "Why?" Victoria asked, her voice breaking. "Why do this to me?" Jasmine's answer came gently. "Because you never once asked who Tyler's mother was." There was silence. Victoria's blood ran cold. "Her name," Jasmine said, "was Jessica Blackwood." Victoria's heart stopped. That's impossible. She was Robert Blackwood's daughter. Your cousin, the one you betrayed in 1995, to steal his share of the family company. Jessica grew up in poverty because of you. She met Adrian in college, but was too afraid to tell him who she was, afraid you'd drive her away too, like you did her father. Memories flooded Victoria's mind. Her cousin Robert, young and proud, signing papers he hadn't read closely. A family shattered by ambition. Jessica died during childbirth. Adrian came to me, desperate. I was Jessica's best friend. He trusted me to raise Tyler. But he also knew the truth about you, about what you did to her family. Adrian spent the last months of his life gathering proof. Victoria whispered he knew. Yes, Jasmine replied. He left it all with me. He asked me to wait, to prepare, to bring you down when the time was right. Victoria looked out the window. FBI vans were pulling into her driveway. Officers shouted commands. The accident, she whispered. Adrian's crash. It wasn't an accident, Jasmine said. He discovered a money laundering ring tied to dangerous people. People you hired to clean up your messes. They silenced him. You, Victoria, you killed your own son. The truth hit her like a bullet. My son. Jasmine's voice remained steady. Tyler is the last true Blackwood. Jessica was the rightful heir. You stole a legacy. But now, Tyler has taken it back. Everything you built, every lie you told it, all belongs to him now. Heavy boots stomped up the stairs. FBI opened the door. Victoria could only whisper, you planned this. For 3 years. Yes, Jasmine said, her voice unwavering. Adrian taught me, revenge is a dish best served patiently. And just like that, the door burst open. Federal agents stepped inside. Victoria Blackwood. The lead officer announced, you are under arrest for tax fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. The sharp click of handcuffs echoed in the hallway symbols of the empire, collapsing around her as they led her away in front of flashing cameras. Victoria heard Jasmine's voice one last time. Tyler will grow up knowing the truth about his family. He'll learn that justice may be slow, but it always comes. Millions watched on live TV as Victoria Blackwood, billionaire, was marched out of her mansion in cuffs. Her legacy, once feared and admired, disintegrated in hours. Later that afternoon, Jasmine sat in a quiet park, watching Tyler laugh as he slid down the playground slide. Her phone rang. It was Helen. Daughter, I saw the news. How do you feel? Jasmine smiled softly, eyes on Tyler. Like Adrian can finally rest in peace. And Tyler. He'll grow up knowing his family chose justice, not revenge. What Victoria never realized until it was too late was this. Jasmine was never just a waitress. She was the keeper of a stolen legacy. A woman who had spent 3 years in quiet, brilliant preparation. And when the time came, she executed the most elegant act of justice the courts had ever seen. 2 years later, the Millbrook Women's State Prison was a long way from the gleaming skyscrapers Victoria once ruled. Now she folded laundry for $2.50 an hour. Her orange uniform was a daily reminder of everything she had lost. Blackwood, you have a visitor, the guard said, expecting a journalist or her attorney. Victoria was stunned to see Jasmine, dressed in a sharp navy blue, confident and absolutely in control. I've come with news, Jasmine said calmly. Tyler just got accepted to Phillips Academy. Full scholarship. The same school Adrian attended. Victoria's lips trembled. Was it pride? Regret? Why? Why are you telling me this? Because he's your grandson. And because Tyler asked me something. He asked if bad people can become good. Jasmine opened a folder inside were photos of Tyler smiling in his school uniform, violin in hand. He's learning the violin, just like his father. His teacher says he's gifted. How? How can you afford all this? Victoria asked. Jasmine smiled, not with arrogance, but quiet triumph. The courts returned everything you stole from Jessica's family. Tyler is now the rightful heir to the Blackwood estate. Victoria closed her eyes. And you? What did you get? I got to give Tyler something you never gave Adrena family, built on love, not wealth. And I got peace, knowing Jessica and Adrian can finally rest. Jasmine stood. He's loved, Victoria. And that's all that ever really mattered. Meanwhile, at a peaceful lakefront home in Connecticut, Tyler ran across the garden, the sun warm on his face. A framed MBA degree from Columbia hung in the hallway. Jasmine sat on the porch, sipping tea, watching her son grow strong and joyful. "Mum, can I play the violin for you?" "Of course, my love," she smiled, eyes misty with pride. Helen visited often, sharing family stories and laughter. Tyler grew up not with bitterness, but purpose. Aunt Helen always said, Jasmine told him one evening, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something so beautiful they regret not being part of it. Tyler would grow up knowing that his family stood for dignity, not revenge. That when the world tries to define you by your background, your job, or your skin color, you can rewrite the story. Victoria tried to buy a grandson, but she learned the hard way family cannot be bought. It is earned through love, presence, and sacrifice. Jasmine didn't destroy Victoria with anger. She defeated her with intelligence, patience, and truth. Have you ever faced someone who tried to dismiss your worth because of where you came from? Drop a comment below about how you stood your ground. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories about the kind of strength money could never buy.